Hey guys, it's ESFan001 here, welcoming you to Part 8 and what will be the finale of Far Cry 5 Dead Living Zombies DLC. And with that, pretty much the end of the Far Cry 5 content, because I already uploaded the random video of doing the final battle in the game on Infamous without using the alien weapons, which I'm still very proud of that I managed to do that. It would be much easier with the alien weapons, but it proved that they are not necessary for that particular battle. Now, some of the other battles are much more difficult. Now, anyway, like I said, this is Score Attack for Burned Bridges, the second map in the game for Dead Living Zombies. And I'm not doing Score Attack videos for all 7 maps because the first 3 maps are all pretty easy to do solo, and the rest of the maps are pretty much impossible to do solo. They're not impossible, you can still do them, but they're very, very difficult to do solo, so I would highly recommend doing 4 through 7 in co-op. And because no one really said anything one way or the other about wanting to see Score Attack, so I just thought it'd be a nice way to finish off this DLC Let's Play by just showing off a quick video of Score Attack. So in Score Attack, your goal is to get as many points as possible. You have a time limit for each level. The amount of time you have left at the end correlates to a point multiplier. So obviously the more time you have left, the more point multiplier you get. And then killing zombies, of course, gives you a certain amount of points depending on the types of zombies it is. And you also get points for destroying those mutation capsules, which is why I'm doing what you see here, even though you don't necessarily have to. So that will also get you points. Not maybe as many as I'd like for them to do, but it's okay. Getting kills and finishing quickly are your main 2 things. So like I said, the first 3 maps are all pretty easy to do solo. I got all of them done within like 2 to 3 tries apiece, and that was very early on without really knowing what I was doing with Score Attack. The 4th map, the rooftop one, is really, really difficult to do solo. I could see it being done solo, but you have to get really kind of lucky with some of the spawns and kills and such. The 5th map, I definitely can see being done solo, but I just could never quite get there myself. I ran it at least a dozen times and kept missing by only a couple thousand points, so I would recommend doing both of those in co-op. The 6th one apparently can be done solo, but I just don't see how, because so much of it is in that vehicle, so I just don't really see how you would do that one solo. And then the 7th one is sort of the same way, just because of the vast number of zombies that takes so long to kill, to where it's not necessarily that you won't get enough kills, you just don't really get a good time multiplier. So I would highly recommend doing maps 4 through 7 in co-op. If you're struggling with 1 through 3, you can do those in co-op as well, but you really don't need to because they're all fairly easy. But yeah, overall, this DLC, it was a fun little extra add-on, but it probably cost too much. I can't remember how much it actually cost overall. Like, it might have been like $10 to $15, which is a little much for this very small amount of content, because you can finish all 7 of the maps, even solo. You can finish them all in like 2 hours. I think that's about how long it took me, maybe just a little bit longer. So it's really not a lot of content. Yes, there's Score Attack, but that only offers a very limited amount of replayability. And then especially once you get the gold medals on all the Score Attacks, there's no reason to ever come back to this because it's still inferior to a lot of zombies modes out there. So wasn't really the biggest fan in the world of the DLC, and I could probably have done with something better in exchange for this, or maybe if you had more maps or if they were longer or something like that. That all definitely would have been better. But I mean, it's fun for a couple hours. It could have been worse. It's still fun for a couple hours. In Score Attack as well, if you get the first star, so the bronze medal in each of these maps, you will unlock, I believe it's the health items that give you an instant full heal by hitting one of the buttons on the directional pad. And if you get 2 stars on a map, you can then get an instant ammo refill. It only refills your current clip, it doesn't refill your overall amount of ammo. But that is kind of nice to have. That can make Score Attack a little bit easier if you're really struggling. And if you couldn't already tell, this is being recorded in the capture gallery because I didn't know which exactly run I wanted to show off. And this was one of my better runs. It wasn't quite my best run of this map. My best run was like 47,000 something. This one ends up at like 45,000. But yeah, that's really about it for this game mode. There's not really that much to it, and like I said, I didn't really get any people saying they wanted to see Score Attack for all the maps, so I'm not really gonna waste my time with that, especially since some of them are so difficult to do solo and are really only worthwhile doing in co-op. Because the 4th through the 7th maps, I think I got all of them in 3 tries or less in co-op. Like, we did the rooftop in 1 try, the one in the national park, I think, took 1, maybe 2 tries. The lab we did in 1 try. Actually, that's not quite true. We technically did it in 2 tries, but the first try, my partner got disconnected early on, so technically 1 try. And then I think the 6th one might have taken us a couple of tries just because we were trying to figure out exactly what you're supposed to do in it. So really, the majority of this movie is pretty easy as long as you sort of know where to go. The very end is definitely the hardest part because you get swamped by a ton of zombies right at the end, and they keep coming at you. It's not an infinite number like I initially thought it was. It's actually fairly limited, but it is a very large overall amount of zombies, so yeah. You gotta just keep firing on the machine gun. You can't let it overheat. Maybe try to save the barrels for a little bit later on if you can, but if you can't, that's okay. The gun has a tendency to be a little bit glitchy in that sometimes it won't spin all the way around, and then sometimes if you get caught on fire while using it, you might get stuck to it to where you can't get off and heal yourself. That happened to me at least once and killed me. So, kind of buggy there, and then yes, it can overheat, but there's also the M60 laying around. And obviously, this particular part would be easier in co-op, but it's, again, not necessary. Everything can be done solo. I still recommend doing a lot of it in co-op, as it'll make your 100%ing the DLC much easier. When it came to all the DLCs, like, Hours of Darkness was like a 2.5, 3 out of 10. As long as you just rush your 2 extra playthroughs, everything else is pretty easy. The hardest trophy by far was beating it in the hardest difficulty. And then Lost on Mars is fairly easy trophy-wise. It's just an obnoxious DLC just because of the, like, infinitely spawning bugs of, like, 3 different types. So it's not really that good of a DLC, and it's not a whole lot of fun, even though I felt like it offered the overall most amount of content of the 3. This one is about a 4 out of 10 in difficulty as an average. Like, it's like a 2 to 3 if you're doing it in co-op, and it's probably like a 6 if you're doing it in solo. Just requires a good amount of luck and practice, and it's going to take like 5 to 10 hours again. So all the DLCs take like a minimum of about 5 hours, and then this one takes longer. Mars takes around 6, I think, and then yeah, that's basically it for that. And then, of course, there is the New Game Plus DLC, which requires you to beat the game on Infamous difficulty in New Game Plus. I would highly suggest carrying over the Mars weapons if you're going to do that, or else you're going to struggle greatly. That's going to be about a 6 or 7 out of 10 if you don't have the Mars weapons. If you do have them, it's about a 3 out of 10. There's only a few difficult missions. And, I mean, I didn't actually mind playing through it again, and you saw there I got like 45,000 points. But I didn't really mind playing through the game again. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of fun to just mess around with the Mars weapons and just, like, destroy everything. And then focus more on listening to things like the radios and such. So yeah, that's going to be it for Dead Living Zombies and the end of that part of the Let's Play. There may still be one more video in the near future where I just give my final thoughts on the whole game, all the DLC, the trophies, etc., right at the end, like once everything's done. So I might end up still doing that. I haven't decided yet. It would require, well, not reinstalling the game, but putting the disc back in, and I got other games to work on. So we will see, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the Dead Living Zombies playthrough. And I will see you for either the final video in this, the final review of Far Cry 5, or perhaps the next Let's Play or trophy video. See you guys then.